G'day guys, welcome to another podcast episode of the Profitable Practice Podcast. I'm here with, in beautiful Fiji, you guys got the inside view, but I'm here today with Jason Bavastur, who's the Projects Development Officer of Wyndham South Pacific. Jace, thanks for being a part of it today.
Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. So you guys can probably see, we don't have the best lighting, we don't have the best sound. I've actually dressed up for the occasion to try and impress the locals with my Fiji rugby shirt. And,
As you have.
Yeah, well,
As you
we've had a bit of a good session this morning, haven't we, with the sales team this morning?
Yep, team loved it.
Team loved it?
Took a lot away from it.
Awesome, thank you. So I just wanted to spend a bit of time with you and have a bit of a chat, because I think where you are with what you do here in Fiji, obviously you're fairly isolated from a lot of the other Wyndham properties. And I think there's a lot of correlation in your sales process and what you need to do with clients, the same as what we do in the health industry. And I thought there's some really good parallels. And we spoke about that with the team this morning. And I thought, well, hey, what better to be able to work with some of my guys and my colleagues and be able to empower them with some of the tactics that, the tips, tricks, tactics, etc. work really well for you guys, as well as obviously what can work well for them. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
Awesome. So we're just going to chew the fat like we normally do. So Jace has never done a podcast before, so he's probably a little bit nervous.
Virgin, yes.
Yeah. So we're popping your podcast cherry, for use of a better word. And Jace is also concerned with the lighting in here. He was saying that it's like camera with women add 10 pounds, and this room, the lighting's bad, so it actually reduces hair follicle density by 20%. So that's both of our excuses, because I've got a little bit not there myself. So anyway, dude, let's get into it. So we were chatting this morning about customer experience,
Yeah.
and we spoke a lot about that. Give me a bit of an insight as to how you guys see it here with your whole sales team and front desk, etc.
Yeah, look, we have mapped our customer experience down to individual footsteps.
Yeah.
So as a management team, we will follow our guest experience all the way from when we initially have our first touch point, all the way through to when they finally not just make a sale, but move to their first holiday. So
Yeah, awesome.
we need to make sure that the entire experience is fantastic. And then we end up with return business. We get business, and we end up with return business as well. If we get that thing right, if we get it wrong, then none of the tactics and tricks and all those things work.
Yeah.
They're simply ineffectual unless we get that.
And let's be honest about it too. Like, we're talking tips and tricks and tactics and stuff like that. We're in the game of sales, right?
Yeah.
Sales, marketing. I talk to my guys all the time about the business of health, because no one likes sales. No one likes the word sales. It feels dirty. And we talked about that this morning. And no one really wants to get out of bed and sell shit, right?
Yeah.
So if we can put that aside and understand that money is a driver for everyone, we need to have more revenue in our health businesses. We need to be able to see clients more times, etc. It's not actually about seeing them more times for money. It's about actually the fact that you can't change your life in 4 or 5 visits. But if you could see them over a longer period of time, you've actually got a lot greater opportunity to effectively give them what they ultimately want. And it's the same thing with you guys here, isn't it? You know, it's not about selling credits or selling a holiday, but I love the way that you guys put it. It's about selling that experience. It's about selling, you know, what you're doing with your family every year, every couple of months, you know, over and over again for X amount of years, right?
Correct. Not many people get to the end of their lives and say, "Damn, I went on too many holidays with my wife and kids."
Yeah.
What a silly guy.
Yeah. Damn. I only took my kids away overseas twice a year, you know, until they were 18 and they were on their own. Yeah.
I wish I had worked all those days. I wish I had worked every Sunday. It would have been great.
Yeah, every day by Sunday. Yeah. So you guys have obviously mapped that out and understand that process and that type of stuff. How do you guys talk in? Let's talk like sort of sales meetings as such. I mean, you guys don't talk about the money side of things. You guys actually talk a little bit differently, as we were talking with the team this morning. Do you want to maybe just give us a bit of insight about the family and kids situation?
Sure. Look, one of the things we always try and move away from is sales. Yes, and look, as with most businesses, it does come down to dollars and cents.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that is my job to absorb that side of things and make sure
the fun side of the business owner hat, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So, and I personally need to be the bridge between between the lifestyle and the fun and what we're selling on the ground, and of course the corporate, the desires, the facts and figures. So, but as a site, we spend all of our time talking about experiences that these people are going to have, and if we spend more time doing that, then of course we get a much better response from the clients, because I guess with the health industry as well, it's about wellness and how much you can fit into your life. And so when we talk about moving away from money, we talk about attaching our product to those experiences, and of course the series of experiences. If we're to sell this to people, at some point in our sales process, they need to be lost in thought, thinking about how their life is going to unfold in front of them. If we've got them caught in the moment, caught in the nitty gritty, we start talking money, value proposition, and we could get the same thing for the same money somewhere else. We start to get into all those dollars and cents things. We're on the wrong track, and we're probably not going to make a sale out of it. But if we can get people thinking about how their life is going to be better 20 years from now, when they look back over their life, that their life is going to be full of life. Not necessarily full of more time, but full of more life in their time. Then we're on the right path.
Absolutely. And I think it's a really key one as well, because obviously with one of the things that we teach our guys is to get to that sort of second or third layer, trying to understand what it is that the clients really want. Like, people don't come in and say to us, they do come into us and they say, I want to get rid of my diabetes. I need to lose weight. I've been told I need to lose weight, and I've just been diagnosed with diabetes and blah blah blah. Or I've come in with a sore shoulder or a sore back. But the true reality is they're not in there to affect their lower back pain, because when you dig a little bit deeper, they've had it for 3.5 years. Or they've had on and off knee pain, Jace, for how many years now? I
think I just fixed it.
We did actually. We did a bit of consult just before, but I guess
I haven't got the invoice for that yet.
I'll just make a mental note to add another 0. Sales this month is going well. That's it. So here we are. We're in this situation where people come into health businesses and they've got a sore back. When we dig a little bit deeper, we find that they've actually had it for on and off, so 3 or 4 years, or it was an old rugby injury, etc., etc. Ultimately, at the end of the day, they're doing it now because they're 55 years old. They've got a grandson that's 3 or 4 months old who's just starting to crawl, and for the first time they want to be out. They find it hard to get down and play with their grandson on the ground. And so now all of a sudden we get down that second or third layer, and we can actually start to understand that that's what we're actually playing with here. We're playing the game of getting that person up and down off the ground, playing with their grandkids, because that's what matters. Otherwise, if it was really back pain, they would have done something 6.5 years ago when they originally did the injury. All right, so they would have completed that process. And I guess in many respects, and so I like to draw the parallels, because you guys are working off a very similar framework. You're working off a framework where people love going on holidays. I mean, who doesn't, right? Everyone loves going on holidays. They come here to Fiji, they have a great time, great experience, but that's obviously your crux. Get down that second or third layer and understand that this is about giving your family more time with your family, more experiences with your kids. And that's the way you're actually going to sell, if we're going to talk about the sales side of things. True?
You're talking about hope, fear of loss and hope for gain. So I guess there's a parallel for you guys. That someone who has an injury, hope for gain might be more, I hope I'm going to run 100 meters in 10.2 seconds. And we're winning gold
medal.
We're
both white, so that'll never happen, right?
Yes, nor will we dance. But
we've got rhythm. Did you see me with Carver the other night?
Only amongst other white people.
Yes. I had all the other white guys coming from.
It was amazing. The fear of loss would be, imagine my kids or my grandkids, or I get to a point where I'm, about to kick the bucket, and I haven't shared those experiences. I've lost that experience, that bonding experience, because I simply couldn't be on the ground and spend time. I couldn't walk to the shop with my grandkid. That can be more powerful as a motivator than hope for gain, some grand thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we, of course, work on both. And you're on the same thing. What can you lose if I don't do this? Rather than necessarily what am I going to gain?
Absolutely. And if we translate that into the sales side, we did some work with the guys this morning. We drew that, didn't we? We drew it out of, here's where we're at and here's how we're selling. Here's how we're doing it as a business, but then actually stretching that. And we do that a lot with, here's the reality of where you're at, and you feel that frustration. So we do a lot of work with clients of actually trying to map their clients' hot buttons. So we talk about fears and frustrations, and we want to feel those, right?
Yeah.
And we want to be able to stretch people as well. We want to be able to stretch people about where they're actually going. I actually relate it to, when you watch movies and that, the gangster type stuff, and someone is tied to a chair and then they get shot in the shoulder, right? They don't even shoot them, in the chest to kill them, they shoot them in the shoulder. or they shoot him in the knee or something in the leg, right? So they can't do anything about it. The guy's cursing and swearing, and then the baddie always walks up and he does what with his thumb? He sticks his thumb on the sore spot, right? Because it's like you apply pressure to the sore spot, the stuff that's going to give you the most gain. So it's the same with what you guys do here with family, friends, experienced kids. You've got to be able to push that hot button, not the sore spot, but push that hot button as a driver. The same as what we do in the health industry, to be able to get the right response for what we're actually trying to then help our client with.
And it's about doing it respectfully too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Earn the right to expose that wound.
Yeah.
If you haven't earned the right, then it'll become a negative.
Yep.
But if you've earned the right, then it'll be
absolutely. You try and push for a sale, walk into, which is a really crucial thing. We had a really good chat with the sales guys this morning actually about this specific part, and we spoke a lot about the sales process of walking into the shop and not having the right or earned the right to ask for a sale. You know, if you turn around and say, hey, we're here to sell you something, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and lay stuff out on the table, it's just going to go, all right? But you create that experience. I mean, you get to come and have breakfast, you get through the sales process, you have breakfast, you get to wander around the resort if you haven't already, you know, if you're not already owners, you know, go and meet people, talk to team, the kids at the kids club, we create the experience. It's all about them, it's all about what, you know, creating that connection.
Yeah, correct.
And creating that relationship, because people only ever buy from friends, right?
Yeah.
That's really crucial. I always talk about friends buy from friends.
Yeah.
And you've got to be able to know people. They know you. They've got to like you. They've got to be able to trust you, and you've got to have trust in there before anyone even thinks about buying. And I think that's a really crucial one. It's actually something I've got to say. I love it about Fijian people because they're so family orientated. And I think that actually works really well for your sales team in that respect, because it's almost exactly that parallel of who they already are. They don't need to be someone they're not. So I think it actually works really nicely in that respect.
Part of my job is to encourage them to act the way that they would normally act.
Yeah.
For some reason, they put on a sales persona. When the presentation's on, they become somebody that they're not. So I'm actually spending a lot of time trying to get them to behave the way they are.
So it's like create the family, and it's like you just leave one family and come to another family. Yeah.
That people didn't come here to talk to somebody that's going to lecture them about finances and about value propositions and and saving money. They're coming to talk to a real Fijian person who appreciates their family and can teach people like me something about spending time with their family and appreciating their family.
Absolutely.
So why move away from that? Why try and do something?
Well, that's the whole thing, isn't it? I mean, I take my kids away. We were in Vanuatu last week, we're in Fiji this week. We take our kids everywhere, but I love to be able to work that environment because my kids they've got a pretty good lifestyle, right? And you know, they're blessed to have that type of scenario in place. My wife and I work very hard to put things in place, and I want to make sure that my kids are never spoiled and are never little brats and feel entitled to things. And I do a lot of work with gratitude. And so we actually have a little thing that we sit down every night when we have dinner, and we don't say grace and things like that, but I instilled this into them probably 3 or 4 years ago we started, and they're now 4, 7 and 8. So it's when we're about 5, males is about 5, which is hard for a 5-year-old. It took a good while to get into it, but everyone sort of talks about their day really quickly for 20 or 30 seconds, and they always have to finish with what they're most grateful for. And that was something I learned from a couple of my mentors many years ago, and I really love it because all of a sudden you've got a child now searching for something that they're grateful for. And we know that the act of thinking about gratitude is just as powerful as being able to actually find something they're grateful for. So they start off originally a lot with, you know, I'm grateful for, you know, let's say mum and dad bringing me on holidays to Fiji. And you go, okay, great, well, hey, it's something, we're getting it. And then they'll turn around and as over time, they start to say, well, you know, I'm really grateful for a lot of things, for, you know, us being here, family being together, but I'm really grateful for being able to spend some time with the man at the pool today, you know, and hearing about his kids. You sit there and you go, that starts to become really powerful. You start to see kids conceptually aware of being more grateful and understanding their environment and the surroundings. And that's why I love taking my kids to, you know, like South Pacific Islands and things like that, because they get to go out and be with people and see people, right? And so that's part of why I love coming to Fiji. You know, we've been out to a Senators village and stuff like that. We go out and take supplies out to the schools and those type of things. And we've done that multiple times. And that's actually pretty special when the kids do that and they walk away. And I still remember Georgie, my middle daughter, first time we did it a couple of years ago with her. And the kids just, as you know, get mobbed by everyone and they have fun. We spend an hour or two, we give them all this stuff. And it's just, they're such beautiful kids. And my daughter Georgie walked away and she started crying and she walked away and she said, it's just not fair. It's not fair that we have so much and they have so little. And you sit there and you go, for at the time, 6-year-old, to have that type of conceptual awareness, it's pretty special, right? And so I don't want my kids to not know that, not feel that. And I think if we bring that all the way full circle back to your sales team, if that's a big driver for why people come here in the first place, then why wouldn't the sales team just do that, right? Like, it makes no sense to talk money. I mean, if I look up here, there's all of your metrics and KPIs coming down and all the money side of things, which is one thing. But if we sell off emotion and sell off family and the real drivers and the real emotional hook, then it becomes a lot more powerful.
It sounds to me as though you go second and third level with your kids.
Well, you have to, I think, in many respects.
And what's the look on the face of your daughter when you get third level? What does the face look like?
It's just, I don't know, how do you describe it? It's absolute, they love it. Like, it's just absolute emotion, isn't it? It's emotion if you're in a tough situation, like where they're not happy, well, not so much they're not happy, but they see like kids in that, like a bit more of a poverty mentality. They're just, you can see emotionally there's a hook there. It's a bit distraught. It's like, how can this be? They question what we can be doing more for other people, which is a beautiful fact. If you go that level for them in regards to their own accomplishments or fun days out, we had a private charter the other day and took off out to the islands and that type of stuff. And they just, on the way home, it was Georgie and I again, we were sitting at the front of the boat and we're just looking out around the islands and that type of stuff and the little green turtle surface right near us. And we just had a great time. And Georgie just looked at me and cuddled in and just said, this is like the best day ever. And you just go, how do you not sit there and go, I want to do more of that and I want to have more of that?
So if you ask the first level of her about their boat trip, you say, what are you grateful for? They say, man, just having our own boat was so cool doing it.
Absolutely.
But if you were to get 6 months from now, if you were to get third level on the same experience, I'm sure you could generate the same feeling that she had of belonging, of having just wonderful connection with you guys as a family. Imagine same thing out on our floor. We spend a bit too much time talking first level. Are you having fun? What do you have fun doing? And just going first level. It's not until you get down a couple of layers into what we call down a rabbit hole, when you see an expression of body language from the client that shows some interest in something you're talking about, that might be your opportunity to get second or third level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Second level will be another prepared answer. By the time you get to the third one, they've run out of excuses to tell you, and you'll start to get down to how they're actually feeling, and you'll see it on their face, you'll hear it in their tonality, not so much the words, and then that's your opportunity right there. And when
people have to feel it, don't they?
Yeah.
They have to feel it.
When you're in that moment, then you've got a chance to attach something.
We've earned the right, as you said before, you've earned the right to at least have the opportunity to sell, if we want to use the dirty word, right? And without that...
And to do it respectfully, we usually leave it alone. At the beginning, we leave it all alone. If we've opened up that wound, if we find that, the ones that make the biggest mistake are the ones that jump on it straight away.
Yeah.
So you've exposed a raw wound, something that you know is what we call the DBM, the dominant buying motive. If you jump straight on and start trying to attach a product to it, you'll lose them. You'll actually lose their trust, and sometimes worse. You'll go because you've actually gained some trust. Sometimes their emotion will go so far the other way because as soon as you found it, you deceived them and they jump straight on it. So a lot about training and actual set rules. If you will not talk any product up until this particular point, you'll only talk about them and how they're feeling. Up to that point, it's only later where you then attach it when you truly have earned the right. And they may have asked, they've given permission. Okay, so now tell me about how this will work for us. Only then do you have permission to attach our product to that raw wound and maybe put something over the top of that. That's it's a very set process. And if you do not do that, and I guess one of the things is you need to have the emotional intelligence to be able to navigate that minefield. If you don't last in this job, to be honest.
Well, I don't think you last in any sales job. I think 2 words there. You said emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence is more important than the actual normal intelligence level and IQ and all that sort of stuff, right? I mean, you can be really smart, but just not a people person. You need to be able to relate to them. You need to be able to read body language. You need to be able to work with the systems. You need to be able to work with judging those, because it's like a seesaw, isn't it? It's like you're trying to sell, but you're also trying to be friends and create relationships and do it the right way for the right reasons, and you just don't want to get that balance wrong.
You said something this morning, just a way of phrasing things. Would you be open to?
Yeah.
That is a wonderful technique to
Absolutely.
If you're about to broach a subject which could be a little bit. We have people here who have partners died of cancer, have lost kids, have all these emotional things that, man, you really want to sell. You want to sell me something based upon that. You've got to be very, very careful about how you negotiate that. And one of the nice things to do is to say, would you be open to having a look at making sure that the rest of your family gets to experience that?
Well, people love decisions, don't they? They love a choice. They love to be able to make that decision, and you're giving them that opportunity. If you've earned the right to at least be able to potentially sell to them, it's something I learned from Ari Galper. Would you be open to? Creates a really nice bridge to at least give them permission to say yes and no. And we know they're not going to say no because people want to be open-minded. They don't want to be closed-minded. So it's a nice.
Once they've said yes, is their idea.
Absolutely, and they own it. Yeah. And then there's accountability there. So it's a really nice scenario, and you're being able to sort of pace them through that. You can pace them. You can lead them to where you want to go, and then you get to ask, which is another nice little PPLA-based strategy of sales and selling. And look, we actually have a excuse me. We have one of my trademark systems is the perfect consult pathway. And basically what I do is I break down the consult into nine boxes. So we did a little bit about models this morning really quickly, but we break down a big square into 9, a 3x3. And so we actually take that through as 3 steps of the actual process. And I actually think about it, because most people think of the consult from a practitioner point of view as like a barrel. You know how like a wine barrel, right? You all know what wine barrels look like. And they're fat in the middle. And so they're fat, and that's the middle part of the consult when you're with the person about your tests, your diagnostics, your ability to use your hands or prescribe an exercise, etc. And we get taught that that's the most important part, but in fact it's not. We end up, I try and teach people it's about the hourglass. We need to be spending more time at the top, getting connection, getting relationships, getting down 2 or 3 levels so that we're friends, we know what their real drivers are. You mentioned the buying decision. What was that little acronym?
Dominant buying motive.
Dominant buying motive, yeah, and that's the same thing. We need to find out the real reason why they're there and what they're trying to achieve with their health or their injury. You guys are trying to do the same thing for what's the actual motive for buying and creating this opportunity experience. And then the last part of the hourglass is all about the closure, the way we wrap it together, the way we actually get them to work for more sessions or retention, or what type of program we need them to follow with a rehab protocol or something like that. There's actually should be less time in that early stage, in that middle part about diagnostics and technology and tech, because people don't really care for jargon. They don't really care to talk about the supraspinatus and things like that. They don't know, they don't care. As long as they understand that you know what you're talking about and you've got that respect and understanding and authority, they don't care for the details. What they want is a connection and that commonality. They want to know that there's a clear pathway and a journey. And I think that's what you guys try and do as well, paint that framework out.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, one of the first things we do when people come for a presentation is we've got what's called a pack break, an agenda and an intent statement.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So we need to ensure that they know exactly why they're here, how the process takes place.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, if you don't know what's going to happen to you, you're fearful. So sometimes it's not supposed to be an unfolding process, because they're fearful of what the next step is.
Yeah.
If they know exactly what's going to happen to them while they're here, right from the beginning to them leaving this place, they're like, oh, that's not so bad. That's cool. I'm not scared of that.
No.
And all of a sudden they come from the reptilian fight or flight side to being open to suggestion. And then of course we do what's called a pack break, which is because everybody that comes in here decides they're not going to buy.
Oh yeah, they walk up the stairs, they get to the ladies at the front and they sit there and they go, I was watching it just before, I was a team member before, and I said, look what's happening over here. And they sat down, the kids were there with those bouncy, stretchy ball things. Yeah. And the mother sat down and they started chatting away, and the father stood back about 2 foot and went like this. Yeah. And he was just looking around. I said, that's exactly what we were talking about this morning, right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We do a group presentation, and I quite often do it myself. And one of the statements I make is, guys, you're here in Fiji having a wonderful time. And I'm sure the first thing you did when you woke up this morning was open the curtains, look lovingly at your partner, and say, "Man, I can't wait to go down to Wyndham and buy whatever it is they're going to sell us today." Let me go to a sales presentation.
Can't wait. When I booked this holiday, my number one highlight was make sure I get on that 90-minute presentation with Wyndham, right?
Oh.
If that's not there, I'm not coming. No, is it more like this?
Can I do it another day as well?
Yeah, can I do it twice? No, you woke up this morning, you're probably having breakfast, and you said to each other, listen, we're going to do that 90 minutes, and there's a voucher at the end for coming for the presentation.
Get the hell out of there.
We're going to
back to the pool.
Kick each other under the table when it's 90 minutes and get the hell out of there. Hey, you talk too much. Don't you say anything. I'll do the talking, right? You buy anything. So I'm going to do it, and we're going to get the hell out of there. Right? And so
and they're the ones that end up flipping and buying.
Exactly. But we've got to be open, and we've got to break that pact between those people and make a new one. That if we can show you something today, then would you be open to having
Would you be open to understand?
Yeah. Would you give us a shot? And then people are like, yeah, of course we'll give you a shot. That's no problem.
Yeah. Do your pitch, give it to us. Yeah. It's like we do webinars and stuff like that, and people know if it's a 1 hour webinar, you get to about 42 to 46 minutes, and all of a sudden the words change, and they go, oh, here comes the pitch.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So it's all pre-framing, that type of stuff as well. We have the same thing with consults as well. Like people come in and they might say, oh, my doctor sent me to me and they've got this Medicare rebate in Australia, and it's like, oh, I've got these 4 free session situations, and you sit there and think to yourself, right, so you've had diabetes for 15 years, you've got hypertension issues, you've got a dodgy knee, you can't do this, you can't do that, you've got all these barriers, socioeconomic factors that are going on, and I'm meant to cure you in 4 sessions. You go, right. Yeah, and that's the guy standing back from the table going, I ain't buying nothing from you type of thing.
There's one cure for it.
It's more holidays?
No, just the casket. That will
the casket, the 6x2 by 2.5
cure all those problems.
Yeah.
Least of your worries after that.
Absolutely. Well, mate, I'm gonna let you go. Thank you very much for your time today. I know I've just grabbed you off the floor and jumped in here, and really love it. I've got no one here kicking me under the table saying get the hell out of here. I love chatting with you guys. Love working with you guys. You've got a really great team. Big fan of Fiji and what you guys do here with Wyndham. And I'm going to be definitely back. Can't wait to work with your team. But mate, thank you so much for today. I know that this is your podcast virginity being popped, and you're a little bit off. What are you going to do?
Now I'm done. Now
I'm done. Now you're anyone's.
Yeah.
Open for any podcast. Mate, thank you very much.
Thanks so much for what you've done for our sales team as well.
Pleasure, mate.
You're not just a support in general, but also your technical knowledge has really assisted us. And obviously, we love being aligned with these things. And as a Fijian people, these guys love feeling as though they're contributing to something bigger than themselves. That there's a contribution towards society. It makes them feel much happier about being in the workplace. It's literally not about money for these guys.
Well, we found that this morning with family and kids. Yeah. There was no one in there motivated by money. It was just even some of those guys, all the charitable stuff they're doing for the communities, and all the guys, turn around saying I'm going to die from a chief and stuff like that. It's pretty special. You very rarely get that type of stuff. So keep doing what you're doing with the team, dude.
Awesome.
Thanks, guys. Cheers. Hey guys, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Profitable Practice Podcast. I would love nothing more than for you to be able to leave a review. I get so much joy out of listening and reading the amazing things that you guys say about this. So please subscribe to our channel, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Let's get some more fantastic information out there so all of us can grow the industry together. Cheers for now.